Late afternoon in Gaza City, Israeli warnings were followed by strikes on residential buildings. The man who recorded this survived with scratches and bruising. Earlier, an airstrike apparently without warning resulted in more serious injuries. Since yesterday, large parts of Gaza City have been under evacuation order. Israel's defense minister today told Hamas to accept the terms of a U.S. ceasefire proposal or be destroyed. But civilians, as so often, are bearing the cost when the missiles find their targets. And this was northern Jabalia this morning. The attack came shortly before 1 a.m., while families were sleeping. Homes turned to fragments for children to sift through in search of keepsakes from life before. People heard news about a ceasefire. Then civilians sleeping in their homes were surprised by random shelling. And here they are, cut in pieces. We have stopped calling on Arab and Muslim countries. We appeal to every free person in this world. On the day the UN labeled Gaza the hungriest place on the planet, far-right Israeli protesters again tried to blockade lorries on their way in. The draft ceasefire plan would allow for a full resumption of aid using UN agencies, but Hamas is yet to accept it. Their sticking point is a lack of a guarantee that Israel would not resume fighting. Instead, a commitment from President Trump to a permanent resolution if Israel and Hamas reach an agreement through talks. There are still some quiet spaces in Gaza. Here, in her grandparents' home, 5-year-old Ward has been given a new jigsaw. But how to make sense of what has happened to her and her family this week? On Sunday night, silhouetted against flames, she managed to escape an Israeli strike on the school where she was staying. Her mother, her brothers, and sisters were all killed. Her father remains in hospital, badly injured. So far, she's not the Ward we used to know. Hopefully, gradually, step by step, we'll bring her back to who she was. We bring her toys to play with so she can forget a little. We're trying to bring her back to her senses, to her memory, to reduce the anxiety. We're doing all we can to ease the stress she's carrying. The plan is to surround her with familiar, loving faces, as much engagement and distraction as possible until her father recovers. But in the background, the sound of drones. It's hard to block out the war, the memory that in their last 2 days alive, her mother and siblings didn't eat. Now, she says she wants to buy flour so she and her father can make bread and eat together. What happened to Ward? Do you think surviving fire like that is insignificant to you or to anyone else? Can't the press speak out, call on the world, on Arabs, Muslims, the EU, and Israelis? This girl was pulled from the heart of the fire by God, so you'd wake up and end this world. In the meantime, Ward's extended family are trying to give her moments of joy in the midst of such profound sorrow, to start rebuilding a young life even as the destruction all around remorselessly goes on. Joining the conversation is Nomi Barakov, a leading international lawyer and peace negotiator who was previously director of the Middle East program at the International Institute for Strategic Studies. When asked about Trump envoy Steve Witkoff's approach to negotiations, she responded, "Well, I think not just this negotiation. All negotiations he is involved with are tricky. You need experts in the actual subject matter to negotiate. And that proposal for 60 days is inappropriate at the moment. The war needs to end. Israel needs to withdraw from Gaza, and all 58 hostages need to be returned. So, having a kind of deal whereby it sort of sounds like it may happen or may not, I'm not sure it's going to happen. But what next? You need to have experts who know that unless the endgame is clear in the negotiation, and the endgame has to be 2 states, a Palestinian sovereign state and an Israeli sovereign state, we're not going to get anywhere. That is clearly not stated anywhere, and the United States is not clear about what the end position is, other than a Trump Riviera in Gaza. And that is a big problem. Does America feel like an honest broker? America has never pretended to be impartial. America is Israel's greatest ally. That is why the Gulf states are taking the lead role in mediation and negotiation. There is an Arab plan led by Saudi Arabia and Egypt. The plan is to transfer authority from Hamas in Gaza to a technocratic Palestinian government that will be agreed upon between all the Palestinian factions, and thereafter rebuild the Gaza Strip without relocating one single Palestinian. That is the only plan that will lead to a sustainable peace ultimately. Asked whether Hamas's agreement to hand over power is enough when Israel wants to destroy Hamas, she answered, "What does destroying Hamas mean? It's an ideology. Who will replace Hamas? You could get someone far more radical. You're not going to replace one movement with a peace-loving one with this kind of approach. The approach needs to be holistic and address the immediate needs. The humanitarian situation in Gaza is beyond catastrophic and needs urgent attention. Hamas leaders need to be given a possibility to leave the Strip and hand over control. Otherwise, chaos will deepen. Gangs, factions, families controlling streets. It's total chaos and worsening. Hamas has said it is consulting other Palestinian factions. That means groups beyond just Hamas and Fatah. There are around 18 official factions and many more unofficial ones. Later, Husam Zumlat, head of the Palestinian mission to the UK, who was born in Gaza, joined the discussion. When asked if the Palestinian Authority wants Hamas to take the deal, he said, "What the state of Palestine, the government, and the people want is to end this genocide. We do not expect a pause in genocide. Genocide must be stopped immediately. We need maximum pressure, not lip service. The international community must act to stop this 21st century live-stream genocide. There is no war in Gaza. War happens between two armies. This is mass murder, mass destruction, mass starvation. This must stop unconditionally, not a pause for 60 days. Aid and food must be delivered unhindered by the UN and the international community. Gaza must be rebuilt quickly. There's a plan adopted by the Arab Summit to unify Gaza and the West Bank under one political system and resist Netanyahu's plan for mass transfer. Netanyahu isn't the only problem. He's the product of an Israeli society that has shifted right. There's growing opposition in Israel, but it must be supported by international action. Full arms embargo now. We are still sending weapons to a country standing trial at the ICJ for genocide. There must be sanctions, not just on settlers, but on the entire settlement ecosystem and the state that sponsors them. And the state of Palestine must be recognized immediately. Zumlat criticized Western language as too weak. Even now, some Western leaders say Israel's actions risk violating international law. Seriously? It's clearly genocide. The press must stop giving lip service. When Israeli officials say this could stop if the hostages were handed over, there was already a deal in January that would have brought them home. We also have thousands of Palestinian hostages in Israeli jails held without charge. No political faction, Hamas or otherwise, will govern Gaza. A unified government must represent Palestine. What needs to leave is not Hamas but the Israeli occupation, its soldiers, its military might. Israel has claimed to kill 30,000 Hamas members, more than their total numbers. This isn't about Hamas. This has been a 77-year campaign to ethnically cleanse Palestine. Look at the West Bank, at recent mosque raids. This is an ideology aiming to replace Palestinians. We need to stop focusing only on Netanyahu and instead work toward a genuine international solution that addresses the root cause and achieves lasting peace.